all day watching it. It's really, yeah, it's really a lot. I was looking at one, all our foundation, of course, but that's the fun movie. I'm telling you. Oh, really? Oh, well, that makes sense. I saw it. I think it's one for all people. It's one big one. Here's a big meeting. You've run out of space already? Bless you. .30 now. I'm gonna start the weather on. Okay. Hold your ears. We have votes tonight. Yeah. We have votes tonight. Yeah. I mean, unless I'm traveling, or unless that's my calendar. Yeah, I know that trick.
Yes, is the McDonald or the car share? Okay, yeah, I have a copy at least.
No, I've gotten to be that way. And Outlook is terrible because sometimes things actually don't go into. What's that?
Want to show the PowerPoints you need it for your
For
computer?
which?
For that card.
Already sent and loaded. Yeah. Can't do these things last minute, so they sent it earlier. And the other one came in with just a flash drive the other day. We can't do that.
Yeah, I know this.
Yeah, and things change. Yeah, over 2 years, things change. And we can't afford to change with it.
I'm playing over the job.
Yep, I have it. It would only work on our main computer, not the one that the city gave us. And I need to keep that on the camera.
Katie's here, so we have one more for quorum, right?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, where we made it.
Whoever's speaking.
17 attendees online already.
Oh, wow.
If you're joining us on Zoom, we haven't started the meeting yet, so you're probably not getting good audio. Please be patient. Please keep it off. Battery just runs so fast.
I got my pocket.
Folks, would you please just sign in if you haven't done so already?
So we can get started, right, Jeremy? Okay, Do you have a copy? Great. Okay. And we're live streaming, right? Great. Excellent. Everything's ready. All right. Thanks everyone for making time to come to the Community Board 7 Transportation Committee meeting tonight. My name is Katie Walsh and I'm the Transportation Chair, and this is John DeLooper, who's Vice Chair, and Jeremy, who's our District Manager. We have several agenda items for tonight. And then, of course, if there's any public comment or if there's any additional items that either the Transportation Committee members or any of the community members want to add, we can do that at the end of the meeting. So just to share, we have the first agenda item is an application for street co-naming request for 60th Street and 5th Avenue in memory of Padre Ruskin Piedra. We're going to hear from some presenters tonight about that application. And then we'll take a vote on the street co-naming among the Community Board 7 Transportation Chair members. And then the next couple agenda items, we have presentations from Department of Transportation. I think there's a mix of people who are here in person and some people who are here virtually. So it's a presentation on a car share locations for 3 sites in the district: 5501 2nd Avenue, 273 44th Street, and 170 33rd Street. And then we will also hear a design proposal for McDonald Avenue from 20th Street to Fort Hamilton Parkway around street safety. And then the next 2 agenda items are actually about the actual implementation and construction of the Brooklyn Greenway plan for 3rd Avenue. And we have the Department of Design and Construction who's going to be presenting on that, as well as the progress of the 4th Avenue median project, which of course you can see right outside the door when you're coming in. Again, we can always add additional items. So if the transportation members have anything that they want to add at the end, or community members, will open ourselves up for public comment. So with that, we have to call roll. I think we have quorum, which is fantastic, so that we can take the votes that we need to. And Jeremy will run through roll.
Good evening, everyone. If you are joining us on Zoom, please remember to unmute yourself, acknowledge your name, and then mute yourself again. Let's start with Katie Walsh.
Present.
Thank you. John DeLooper.
Present.
You, Joan Body. Joan Body. George Cardona. Jerry Chan. Thank you. Jamie Freed. Thank you. Daniel Kaminsky. Thank you. Roberto A. Martinez. Thank you. Roberto, you do not count towards quorum. Gabino Morales. Maria Roca. Thank you. Maria, you do not count towards quorum. Samuel Sierra. Thank you. Faye Walker. 6 in the room. You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. So let's go ahead to the first agenda item, the street co-naming, and I believe we have 3 or 4 speakers that are coming up. And when you come up, you can use the mic and please introduce yourself. And we will give you, we don't have a strict amount of time, but I would say for each of the speakers, if you're reading notes or if you're sharing comments, try and keep it within the, under 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, which is a lot. So that's a lot. Okay, thank you. Welcome. Yes. And you can use that mic up there. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Father Robert Wotek. I'm the pastor of the Basilica of Our Lady of Perpetual Help on 59th, between 59th and 60th, and 5th Avenue and 6th Avenues. And I would like to speak to the point of having lived with Father Piedra. I know other people will probably talk about having worked with him or other relationships, but I lived with him for 5 years because I was here previously as an associate and now as pastor. And I can say he was a very dedicated priest. He worked for 27 years at the Basilica and was very dedicated, especially to the to the Latino community, but he served all. And one of the things that he saw was the need among the Latino community for help with immigration issues. And he began the Juan Newman Center, which is our immigration outreach in the parish, and continues to this day. And over the years has actually helped thousands of people. Father Piedra was very frail, skinny and frail, but had an iron will. And when he saw something, he was like a dog with a bone. When he wanted it, went after it, and fought for it. Father Piedra also worked with children and even adults who had certain disabilities, physical or mental disabilities, to make sure that they could also receive their sacraments just as any other child or person could. He kind of took that to his heart as a special kind of a little apostolate also, together with the immigration issues. But he worked in the parish. He would walk around the streets in the mornings. He would take a walk, and everybody knew Father Piedra. If you saw him, again, he's very skinny, very thin. He was born in the States, but his parents came from Cuba and immigrated to the States. And he would walk around and he'd greet people in the morning, and everybody knew him. If you needed to take your car for a checkup somewhere or to be certified again or whatever, he could tell you, go to so-and-so, go to this one, go to that one. He knew restaurants, he knew mechanics, he knew the whole works. He was here in the community for 27 years and was a fixture. And so I think it would be a tremendous tribute to him to be able to name the street, that part, after him. In fact, just as a talking about a tribute, our church, we have lower, upper, and lower. The upper church holds about 2,000 people. It was full for his wake and his funeral. And it was just very moving to see people coming by and touching and just wanting to be there for him, because he was there for them. And so I think it would be a wonderful tribute. Thank you.
So much. I'll just say before I invite the next speaker up, the community board and community board 7 in particular that represent Sunset Park and Windsor Terrace, this is a unique community that I grew up in, and I think that feeling of working in service and working in partnership is something that brings so much of us together, and so I just really appreciate hearing that, and the opportunity to do a street co-naming. That's something that we can do as a community, that an application can come forward, it comes through the community board, it goes to the city council member who can officially pass it along. But we can provide that advisory recommendation. I think it's quite special to be able to do that, to recognize individuals that have given so much of themselves in service. So thank you for your remarks. I believe there might be 2 other speakers, and invite you up. Thank you.
Debbie Ross. I live on 60th Street between 5th and 6th. I've lived there my whole life. I've known Father Piedra, I guess, as long as he's been stationed at OLPH. And as much as I've seen him working with the Immigration Center, myself, I think of him more as a parish priest who does so much for everybody, not just the immigration center, although he works there tirelessly. I mean, where he could get the energy with being such a small person, and you'd see him taking the subways down to court all the time. He was just amazing. Like Father said, anybody in the community, if you ask them about Father Pietro, everybody has a Father Pietro story. He's just wonderful. I don't really have much to add to that, just again, thinking it'd be a wonderful way to honor him. Thank you.
Griselle, are you speaking as well? Thank you.
I can talk in English, but this time I'm going to talk in Spanish, okay? Mi nombre es Grisela Amador, soy la directora de United Senior Center Sunset Park. Para mí ha sido un honor haber conocido a ese hombre, a ese pastor de Dios, a ese sacerdote, fue excelente. He was so great with United Senior Center, with the members, con los seniors, con mis seniors inmigrantes sin papeles y con dificultad, okay? My senior have problem with housing. He helped me, I direct, on the question, the comment. He was excellent with United Senior Center of Sunset Park, okay? It was my honor to meet him. Le encantaba el café. Traía café de Cuba cuando podía. I love coffee, so he was also a coffee drinker. And at least if he don't drink too much, at least he say, this coffee is good, it's strong, it's good, it came from Cuba. In reference to the service that he provide the community, that service will be for all life because everybody will remember Padre Piedra. With the energy, with the good heart, he always want to serve the community. Siempre quiso servir a la comunidad, no importaba del país que fuera. No importaba del país que fuera. So thank you and my honor to be talking, about him and to support, that the street have his name. He really deserves, okay? Muchas gracias. Thank you.
And then we have Rosemary. Rosemary here? Yes, thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Rosemary y voy a hablar en español. Padre Piedra, un hombre grandioso, un hombre de buen corazón. 5 cosas que él luchó en nuestra comunidad. Primero, misionero, ayudó mucho a su gente cubana. Cada año, cuando él podía, viajaba, recaudaba medicina, recaudaba despensa para ellos, fundó un centro para ancianos en Cuba, para los más necesitados. Cada año que él podía, viajaba hasta que su cuerpo ya no pudo más por los viajes, por los del tener que trabajar de un lugar a otro y el cuerpecito de él no estaba tan fuerte. Los viajes en Cuba, lo que él me contaba era que esos viajes eran demasiado para él porque no era un carro donde él iba a veces en caballo, en carreta, y ya hubo un tiempo que él no pudo. Eso es una de las cosas por el que luchó. Yo sé que dejó un legado en Cuba con su tipo restaurante, no. Era para ofrecer comida para los más necesitados cubanos y recaudaba dinero para mandárselos. Las medicinas que no estaban disponibles se los mandaba desde acá. Yo no sé cómo le hacía, pero iba a Miami, se iban a Miami, de Miami iban a Cuba. So, ese era un lugar donde él ayudó bastante por muchos años. Tiene demasiadas fotos. Si quieren verlos, están creo que en su cuarto o en algún lugar de nuestra iglesia. Lo segundo, él se preocupó por los niños especiales. no les llamo enfermos, son niños especiales. Esos niños que tal vez a muchos de nosotros no nos pondríamos a mirar. No eran muchos, pero eran niños bien especiales donde ellos no sabían quién es Dios, qué es la Eucaristía, qué significa ser cristiano, ser católico. Y para eso, yo sé que en él estaba ahí al pendiente, pero también trajo gente para que trabajara con él. Y ese es otro legado que él dejó, que esta gente todavía sigue trabajando con esos niños. Tal vez no son muchos, pero esos que tienen son alguien especial. Lo segundo, yo trabajo con él en el centro Juan Newman. Él lo organizó, abrió este centro en el 2003, donde su visión era aquellas personas, las extranjeras. Él era un hijo de personas extranjeras que vinieron de Cuba y se formaron en Miami, y él vivió la experiencia de tener padres donde no hablaban inglés, donde él tenía que traducir a sus papás. Eso fue una de las causas por el cual él decidió abrir el centro Juan Newman, y lo nombró así por Juan Newman, un santo que también era extranjero, que llegó a la isla de Manhattan, y podemos leer toda la historia de él y pues, se inspiró en él. Padre Piedra con el centro trabajó duro. A sus 90 años, él me dijo, solamente me van a sacar de aquí en mi ataúd, y así fue. Él trabajó hasta 6 meses antes de. Incluso aquí tenemos gente que él ayudó, y hay algunas caritas que estoy mirando que ayudó, y que ahora, gracias a Dios, con la situación que está pasando en el país, tienen un estatus migratorio, que por lo menos están protegidos con lo que está pasando. Ese es otro de los puntos. El otro punto es iniciación cristiana, RICA. RICA es un programa que está en la iglesia de nuestro Perpetuo Socorro desde que yo lo conocí en el año 2004. Lo conocí por medio de RICA, donde nos ayuda a reforzar la fe cristiana para aquellas personas que no conocen de Dios, y todo el esfuerzo que él le ponía. Todos los sábados él le dedicaba cierto tiempo a ese programa. Desde que yo lo conocí, y yo lo ayudaba ahí también, un tiempo que ya no pude más, pero por más de 16 años estuve ayudándolo, sé cuál era el trabajo de él. Y era un trabajo ardiente y necesitaba, pero tenía toda esa energía, a pesar de que ya tenía una edad avanzada, para llevar los 5 ministerios que él tenía. El otro ministerio, y el último y uno de los más importantes, era los cursos matrimoniales para aquellas personas que querían casarse y querían conocer más de Dios. Ese programa es que yo lo ayudaba a tener una familia más fuerte, a dialogar antes de contraer matrimonio, para que una familia sea más unida, más mejor, y conozcan de Dios, porque con Dios siempre él decía, es mejor que 2 personas solamente. De Dios en medio es mejor para una familia, los hijos. Y hay otro ministerio que serían los monaguillos. Él siempre corría los monaguillos de nuestra iglesia, los jóvenes, que los ayudaba a servirle a Dios, a ver otro aspecto de la iglesia, otro aspecto de nuestra religión. Para mí, Padre Piedra sigue siendo una persona admirable. Todavía vienen al centro y preguntan por él. Mucha gente que no sabe que ya no está. Para nosotros, nuestra comunidad representada por todos los que la mayoría de nosotros que estamos ahí, sería un honor tener el nombre de él ahí, y el centro todavía sigue funcionando hasta ahora, y todos los otros 5 o 6 ministerios básicamente que tiene siguen en nuestra iglesia, claro, liderados por otros miembros de la iglesia, pero siempre llevando las enseñanzas que él ha tenido en nuestra comunidad. Gracias.
So we do have one more speaker I wanted to recognize. Is it Milagros who's going to speak? Okay. And then we'll move to the vote after that, so.
It's gonna be hard to follow everything Rosemary said, because she knew Padre Piedra for so long. So I'm the secretary at the Juan Newman Center, and I got to experience firsthand the work that Padre Piedra, did for the community. And I saw him work tirelessly. And when people say so-and-so is a beacon of light, you know, Padre Piedra is the embodiment of that. He did so much for the community, not just with the immigration, like Rosemary said, but he helped so many people. And what we loved most about him was that he was funny, he had a great sense of humor, but he was very direct, which is always good because sometimes you need someone to tell you, you know, what can be and, you know, is it going to be possible? You know, he was that type of person, very direct, always gave them hope, of course, if they're, you know, like that's the type of person he was. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous and I get emotional, but we loved him so much. But like the appreciation, like just seeing how he worked, like so many people admire him for that, you know, up until the end, like Rosemary said, he was almost 91 when he passed, and till the end, he was telling us, oh, so-and-so has court. Give them a call and tell them they have a great case. They shouldn't give up. And to me, that speaks volumes, you know, of who he was as a person. So I just want to say thank you. And I hope that we get to honor him in this way. And there's so many people in the community, like as the secretary, I get to speak to like a lot of people, and the calls that we get saying thank you for the way he helped them, and not just like with immigration issues, but just like during COVID, you know, he would go to some homes and, you know, visiting the sick or giving the last rites, if I remember correctly. So he was so much more than, you know, what we know and who we know about him. And for that, I'm just grateful that I got to meet someone like that. And he inspires me and everyone here pretty much to do better. And that's what we promised him. We were like, we're gonna honor you. So thank you.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for your bravery to speak in this room, and also I know it's difficult because there's still, people are still healing. Thank you for painting the picture of everything he did and all the service that he gave to the community, those that, you know, he really touched directly. It was a wonderful tribute that you all offered. So I would come to the Community Board 7 members, and I would put a motion on the floor. We can leave it open for discussion, but the motion is to support the street co-naming with unanimous consent. So is there a second from Jerry? And then is there any discussion among Community Board 7 transportation members about the proposal? Okay, so seeing none, it passed by unanimous consent. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. The next stage in the process is this is an advisory vote that we provide as Community Board 7 to our full community board. And that was why it was important to us to be able to have the vote today, because we have the full community board meeting next Wednesday on June 17th, June 18th, June 18th. What I'd like to say is that we will then put it in front of the full community board. We will tell everyone that we heard your heartfelt words, that we passed it by unanimous consent, and then it'll go in front of the full board to be voted on. And then we present that to the city council member. There is public comment at the beginning of the full meetings based on if there's a vote that has to be taken. So this one is considered a vote. You do not need to come. I feel like your testimonies tonight were really thoughtful, and we appreciate everyone who came. But you're welcome to. It's public comment. So it's timed, it's 3 minutes, and it's at the beginning of the meeting, which is great because it's at the beginning so that you can stay or go. But we want you to stay. So that's next Wednesday at 6:30. And then we'll be voting on it as the full board. So congratulations. And then I want to say that you are welcome to stay. This is an open meeting, public meeting. We want community involved. If you would like to go, you can go. And we would just ask that you leave quietly so we can start our next agenda items. But thank you, everyone, for showing your support. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you, community board members and the public and everyone who's here. And we'll go over to DOT representative who is going to speak about car share. Thank you. Okay, so this is the proposed new sites for 3 different locations. And Jeremy, I think we have the presentations, right, from Emily. Okay, we're going to give everyone a chance for transition. I'll fill the time by saying that I brought some snacks. It's a lot of carbs. So yeah, there's a dip, there's some chips, help yourself. I brought some granola bars, just in case. Don't be shy. Anyone can have the snacks. And then we'll go to our next presentation. Thank you. It's always wonderful to have DOT reps come and speak with the board. So thanks for making the time. And you can introduce yourself and then we'll pass it over to start. Oh, and you have to speak like directly in so that it captures on.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me. My name is Debbie Scheintuck. I'm the Deputy Director, Special Projects at DOT Transportation Planning and Management Division. I'm here today to talk to you about a program called Car Share. I'm going to wait till the PowerPoint pulls up, but we run this program in concert with Zipcar, and Tori Fishman is here from Zipcar. So Tori will introduce himself later, but I'm just going to launch right into the presentation. Okay, so what is car share? You've probably seen the signs around in the neighborhood, but basically car share provides, are you at the, you can go to the first slide, sorry. Car share provides on-demand, short-term access to vehicles. So it's basically like Zipcar is normally, but the city works in tandem with car share operators to provide public parking spaces. So there are some spaces in municipal lots, and there are some spaces on the street. The program was launched in 2018. And at that time, we had 230 on-street spaces and 55 municipal municipal parking lots. This program averaged 24 trips per space per month, with an average of 17 households per vehicle using that car. So the idea basically is to reduce car ownership and to invest in a system where we share vehicles. And where we shed vehicles. And so the pilot, through this program, we saw a greenhouse gas emissions and vehicle miles traveled decline 7% in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. So people would have driven that much more if they had their own vehicles based on comparable data. And vehicle miles traveled had declined by 6%. And based on detailed customer surveys, we found that one car share vehicle replaced 4 personal vehicles that were either not purchased or that were sold by people participating in the program. So we moved to a permanent car share program in 2013 with Zipcar, another company called Get Around, and another company called Truck It. And at that time, there were over 500 on-street spaces and 60 municipal parking spaces that were operated as part of the car share program. In April of 24, Get Around ceased all operations in North America. So we lost 90 of their 160 spaces, and 70 were reallocated between Zipcar and Truck It, our 2 current car share operators. This number on the slide is wrong. Currently, There are 113 car share spaces in Brooklyn. It says 246, but I can email you guys that. I was looking over this beforehand. I was like, wait, that's not right. Okay, next slide. So we are looking to put in 3 more car share sites in BK7. One on 5501 Second Ave, one on 273 44th Street, and one on 170 33rd Street. Each site is 2 parking spaces, and it's located on the same block face at the corner. So here to talk to you a bit more about those 3 sites and kind of what we're offering to the community is Tori Fishman from Zipcar.
Thank you.
Thank you. How's it going? I'm Tori Fishman from Zipcar. I manage public partnerships and policy across the country, but I'm based here in New York and Brooklyn, just a few miles north of here. I appreciate you giving me the time to so
Reminder to speak really close.
right into the microphone. You got it.
It's a little awkward, but you get used to it.
Got lots of different notes here. So we can go to the next slide if you don't mind. So Zipcar is the leading car sharing provider and the largest car sharing provider in New York State. We've been operating in New York City since 2002 and partnering with the city for almost that entire time. We have over 2,000 different vehicles in the metro area, 60 different makes and models at 550 different locations, and over 100,000 members across the 5 boroughs. We also have 60 employees, of which I am one, that reside in New York City, and we employ countless small businesses, whether it's vendors that we work with or various maintenance providers. But generally speaking, Zipcar, as Debbie said, is a car sharing provider. We rent a car by the hour or by the day. It's similar to a traditional rental car model, but different. With a regular rental car, you would go to like a rental car retail storefront, wait in line. It's huge pain. With Zipcar, you download the app, you register, you unlock the vehicle outside, you drive away. We're talking about moments, not minutes even. And it's a round trip car sharing service. So the place that you take it from is where you return it to, which is where the on-street spaces become very valuable. But from a member perspective, but we're focused on enabling a simple, sustainable, and responsible urban living. 88% of our New York City members don't own a car. Over 25% of them report getting rid of a car after joining Zipcar, and members drive 40% fewer miles than they did before joining, mostly because they're taking what we call purpose-driven trips, as opposed to getting in the car because they have it. They're taking a car when they actually need it, when public transit or city bike or walking just isn't an option, whether it's going to an important doctor's appointment, visiting friends and family, going on, a road trip, going to help move, pick up furniture. These are just one of the many use cases that our members in New York City report. And we have independent research at the University of California that shows that nationwide, each Zipcar on city streets helps take up to 13 personally owned vehicles off of those same streets, creating more space for you and me and for our families, and less space that needs to be allocated to car storage. Go to the next slide, please. So I covered most of this already, but our cars are available 24 hours a day. Our members save over $1,400 a month on average in New York City. And just to be clear, each reservation includes gas. So when you, the Zipcar hourly price that you pay includes gas. In the event you need to get gas during your trip, there's a gas card in the visor. And if you're taking an electric vehicle, similarly, charging is included. There's a baseline level of insurance, maintenance, and roadside assistance in the very unlikely event you need it. And 200 miles per day are included. And if you're going very far away and you go over that, there's a per mileage fee after. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in CB7, we do not have any on-street spaces, and we actually don't have a ton of Zipcar locations. And so we're really excited about this program because it's going to be able to help us serve this community better. Right now, I think most of the vehicles are located south and east of here. I was looking at a map, and obviously this car is north, but for a variety of reasons, we've been unable to place cars in CB7. And so in partnership with DOT, we're able to do that. And these sites are selected based on member feedback and search data. every time someone opens Zipcar, pardon, every time someone opens Zipcar and books a car, but more importantly, when they open Zipcar and don't book a car, it gives us a data point of where demand in the city is. You know, you imagine the heat map. And so when you look at the heat map of areas that we're currently unable to serve, you know, we have a lot in CB7 and Sunset Park, and that's what allowed us to pick these 3 sites. You know, the priority is making them in areas where we have proven demand, but also where they're safe and easily accessible and they minimize impact on the neighborhood. Last thing we want to do is put something in front of, you know, a single family home or something like that. We're trying to put these in community accessible places where the on-street space, which is already a community amenity, can be accessed by more people. And so we have our 3 sites here. I know it's kind of hard to see up there, but those are street view locations. One of them is right in front of a park and adjacent to a city bike rack. We find that a lot of our members report using shared mobility and micromobility to access the vehicles to start or end their trip. The other ones are next to, I think, a high-rise or mid-rise condo, and the other one is near a commercial corridor where there should be a lot of traffic. All of them are relatively easily accessible by public transit, and we find that these are centralized locations that, you know, hopefully everyone in the community will be able to access. And yeah, you can go to the next slide. The last slide, most importantly. We also have a focus on equitable and affordable access. That's a part of Zipcar's ethos, but also part of our partnership with DOT. Across the city, we have a partnership with NYCHA, where all NYCHA residents get their first year free and subsequent years of membership severely discounted to the tune of like 80 or 90%. And cars that NYCHA residents take from NYCHA locations are also given a discounted rate. We also have a SNAP program where all SNAP recipients across the 5 boroughs get 50% off their membership in perpetuity. DOT has a floor for the number of sites that they'd have to be placed in in DOT equity areas. I believe that floor is 20%. We have upwards of 50 to 60% of our sites in equity zones, and that's just part of our commitment to serving every corner of every community across the city. We also have partnerships with local organizations and different programs to support outreach and to promote awareness of the program. If anyone on CB7 or in the room or in the community that's listening has ideas of way that we can help partner with the community, whether it's something related to an open street or something that, you know, that's aligned with Zipcar's mission, I would encourage you to reach out to me after this and see how we might be able to work together. But yeah, other than that's the program. We're really excited about this, really excited to bring this amenity to everyone in the room, to everyone in the neighborhood. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about Zipcar. And then any questions about DOT, I will turn over to my friends here at DOT.
Thank you. We will have some questions both from our community board transportation members, and then if there's any comments or questions from public comment. So just for a little bit of context from my memory as transportation chair and working with John, they'll have to fill in the gaps. But I think the last time we had DOT come to present on the car share applications was in fall of 2022. And that was, as you described, the company that Get Around that no longer operates in North America. And at that time, there were a couple of sites that were proposed for the Get Around spots, and we offered feedback. At the time, those sites were not these sites. The sites that were being proposed were on residential streets in and around Sunset Park, the park itself, and also on Fifth Avenue. So we had provided commentary then around not necessarily using high volume residential streets, as well as Fifth Avenue, needing to talk to the Business Improvement District. All that's a moot point because of obviously the change, but I just wanted to say that was the last time that you all came. One question I'm gonna ask is something that was raised at that time, which was whether or not any locations by way of city-owned land would be considered for car share application locations. So that specifically is like, we have a ton of city-owned land owned and operated by the New York Economic Development Corporation along the waterfront. So that's Brooklyn Army Terminal and areas of sites down there. And I wanted to ask if, with the sites that were considered, whether you looked at anything because there's a bunch of businesses, there's also like more and more infrastructure and development that they're putting there. So I just wanted to ask that question first.
From the Zipcar perspective, I can say that this is a belt and suspenders approach. It's not that we're picking on-street sites in lieu of other locations. It's we're looking for on-street sites in addition to other locations. We have a team dedicated that goes, scours the city for locations that work. And, I work in concert with them, but I am not part of that team. So I know that we are frequently in conversations with the city. We have cars on city in municipal lots and garages across the city. The specific properties that you're mentioning, I don't want to give you comment on the record one way or the other. I can, yeah.
All city owned and operated, so the economic development of waterfront.
Yeah, I can. I do
Bullet
recall,
below third.
I do
Yeah.
recall having conversation with my team about placing cars there for, the growing retail. And let me just confirm one way or the other.
Okay.
There, I can say one of the benefits of the on-street program, as I mentioned, is it allows us to put cars in areas that we're unable to serve. Specifically, just because there is a lot in garage available for commercial or for just for personal use doesn't necessarily mean that we'll accommodate Zipcar. If you park your car there, and even if you're commuting, you're going to the garage once a day, twice a day. For us, we conceivably have 6 different people entering the garage in one day. It's a lot of additional foot traffic that some garages just don't want to deal with. And so there are many garages that simply won't accommodate car share. And based on the demand data and the lack of cars in the neighborhood, I'm left to assume that is probably what happened here. So, but I will follow up specifically on
If
your
you can follow up, yeah, so it's the city-owned waterfront land, which is the Economic Development Corporation, and we have a big, beautiful pier that is used just for cars at the Brooklyn Army Terminal, and it's city-owned and operated, so that would be helpful. Other people are going to have questions, so I don't want to dominate, but I'm going to ask one last one, which is enforcement. How would you expect people not to park in the spaces? A huge problem for tons of reasons is always enforcement. There's no enforcement from NYPD on traffic in the neighborhood. It's safety problems, accessibility problems, but how would you expect them to do enforcement for your spots? And you have to use the mic, unfortunately. Thank you.
Yeah, so we interface with the area PD and alert them to the spots. We try and have communication pieces that new officers can see so they're aware of the spots and the requirements. We alert DSNY around alternate side parking regs and alert them that these are Zipcar sites, that they're responsible. Zip is responsible for cleaning and maintaining the sites, not DSNY. So we interface with other city agencies and alert them to those. But if there's an issue, we'd always, welcome people telling us, and, if that occurs, which sometimes it does, then we'd also again, reiterate the messaging and ensure that everyone was educated appropriately.
Yeah, and I don't think our neighborhood is any more unique on this. This is like an issue in New York City with enforcement, but I just think you will have a particular problem in our district. So that's your heads up. Other questions from oh God, there's so many. And then we also have 3 other agenda items, but John, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first because I'll say right off the bat that I am a car share user and I do use Zipcar. And what you said about this area having no spots has been a longstanding issue because I'm one of the people who did give up their car because of car share, but is really tenuous, right? Because there's none in the area. I had a map and it's 0 in CB7. Yeah. And so having this there, it would, to me, would be a benefit, especially because these are spots which are easier to get to than some of the other ones in other neighborhoods. And these spots look better than some of the spots that Zipcar has used in other neighborhoods. There are other spots that are better still, but these ones are better in my eyes. And I've seen how this works in other cities. So that said, I echo what Katie said about, reaching out to the EDC and other organizations. I specifically, when I saw the location being by NYU, would encourage you to reach out to them because they always have feedback about transportation changes. I know they've come here when we had the bus redesign. They came here with city bike stuff. And that spot is a little tricky because over there that we have a big issue with ambulances parking in the bus stop, with cars parking on sidewalks, with placards from doctors and all this type of stuff, which makes me really worried that that spot would be, you know, utilized with that. At the same time, what Katie mentioned about the Army terminal, I see a lot of people work at NYU park over there and walk over. So I would imagine that the space in the garage might be a little underutilized now compared to how it would be in the past. But that's something you can work with. You can reach out to them. That said, I appreciate the concern that this is taking away existing parking spots for this other service, but I do think, from my perspective, that there are people like me who would have a car taking up the spot otherwise, and we're not building new streets to have more on-street parking, so we do need to try things like this. And I also like that, according to your website, you're paying $475 per spot, which to me is very positive because, I really wish New York City had residential permit parking, but since we don't, I looked at cities around here. In Yonkers, it's $25 a year. In Jersey City, it's $20 a year for residential permit spots. So actually, Zipcar is contributing more than individuals are in these other cities. So I think that this is a very interesting proposal. I do want to note that the spot you mentioned at 273 44th Street, which has a city bike station, that's the exact address of the city bike station. So I want to confirm, you said it will not replace the city bike station, it will be next to it? Is that accurate? It's in the street. Okay. And then the next question I had was, seeing that we're a big hole in here, I looked at the city's open data. I saw that 11 of the 14 community boards in Brooklyn have spots, and we don't have any. Based on the number of spots you said are active, that's an average of about 11 spots, then 10 or 11 spots per thing. So we'd still be behind other boards. So I have a concern that if we continue to not have any, we are actually losing out amenities to other neighborhoods. But the part you mentioned about the car share, on the website, it talks about how municipal parking lots devote up to 10% of their spots. And the city says that the parking under the Gowanus Expressway is a municipal parking field. Does that mean we should be expecting additional sites under there, or does that not count because it's a field rather than a lot?
I believe it's a municipal parking lot, field, whatever. It's a municipally owned, parking lot. So that's kind of what that designation means. We take, Zipcar proposes sites to us and we evaluate based on our criteria, whether they meet the requirements. So we're not telling Zipcar like, go here, go there. They do their market research. They do their analysis based on kind of consumer feedback. So we kind of review once they submit proposed sites. So, but yes, that would be a municipal lot.
So it's not automatic 10% gets okay, it's based on the company requesting.
Exactly.
We're provided with a list of municipal lots and garages that will accommodate car share, and it is not the entirety of the portfolio. It's like somewhere between, 12 and 20 locations that can accommodate car share. And then we're also given the cost associated with it. And in certain neighborhoods, the cost is just outside of our price range. In other neighborhoods, it would make sense. But in terms of a Gowanus parking field, I'd have to look. It doesn't sound familiar. I'm not sure that was on the list of sites that were available to us.
Thank you.
I'll go community board, 7 members that are in person, then virtual, and then we'll just open up to public comment. Thank you, Jerry. Go ahead.
So most of my question, Katie and John asked already. I do want to do some, what? You like my voice, huh? You should talk to me on the phone.
All right, PG.
I want to echo what John said, right? So you mentioned that you got the information from data that that got collected, right? I do want you guys to kind of go back and take a look at it. The location, especially in NYU, there's no parking there. Most of the there's no parking. If you know about Sunset Park, parking is one of the hardest thing. People park in the middle of the intersection, right? Jamie thing, and because there's no parking. You guys should look underneath the Garana Expressway to put your zip card there because it's more convenient for people to use it. Also, I'm looking at the affordability access. How come veteran is not in part of this?
That is a slice of our local partnerships. We have a number of other partnerships with other organizations across the country, like AARP. There's definitely some things with armed forces. We have the head of our companies, Angela Adams, is a veteran. It's very important to him. I know we have specific partnerships. Let me follow up with exactly what the terms are, but the couple of programs that are listed there are just some of the partnerships that we do in conjunction with DOT related to this specific on-street program.
Okay, I'll pass to, right, Sam is taking the mic. Yeah. No, it's okay, it's okay.
Hi, my name is Sam Sierra. Thank you for your presentation. My concern is also with regard to the parking and the location, specifically the one addressed 5501 Second Avenue. I represent almost 3,000 workers that work at NYU Brooklyn, and every single morning, every shift change, there are what we call the parking wars. Everyone's looking for parking. I would strongly recommend that if we're truly going to be convenient, bring convenience to folks, that we strongly consider another location. That is not a good spot. Not at all. There will be problems. I just needed to share that. It's a reality for folks every single day down there. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who's from the Transportation Committee in the room? Yeah, I always forget the etiquette, Maria. Yeah, she's a public member, but it's all the same. But she's a committee member. Okay, Maria, if you want to ask your question.
I have a couple of questions. I'm not sure that anyone mentioned the charges, what Zipcar costs. Did anyone say that, talk about that?
You can rent a car by the hour or by the day. Cars in New York City start around $12 to $14 an hour. There's also a daily rate. Like if you go over somewhere between 8 or 10 hours, you hit the daily rate and you're charged the lesser of whatever the two is.
What would that daily rate be about? I'm not going to, not in etched in stone, but approximate.
Depends on what kind of car you get. Like if you get a compact sedan versus an SUV, if it's a Monday versus a Saturday, there is some
Okay,
fixed
so it
rating.
works, it's adjusted, it could be one rental, one time that you need it, it could be one rate, and then because it's a different day and a different time, it could be a different rate on another day. But your site does tell you ahead of time before you go and walk to, okay.
Absolutely. You know what your trip costs before you start it, unless you extend your trip or, obviously if there's tolls. And the one thing I'd like to add is that there is some price fluctuation, like based on demand, on the weekends are obviously higher volume than Monday through Friday, but we don't employ any type of like airline style surge pricing. If you need a car tonight and you booked it right now, the price would be relatively the same compared to if you booked it 6 weeks ago for tonight. So there's a level of consistency and reliability that what your car may cost. The car may not be available to you if you wait to book it, but you're not going to wait till the last minute and get stuck with like a car that costs twice as much as it normally does because you waited till the last minute.
Okay. Does it cost, is there a membership fee beyond the actual rental for the time that you are using the car?
Yeah, there's an annual membership fee that it's without any discounts, I think $9 a month or $90 a year, but we have discounts with AARP, we have discounts with NYCHA, with SNAP, with a lot of other community organizations, with a lot of employers. And also, if you're interested in trying it, I believe we're still running a promotion right now for your first month off. If you're interested in seeing what, going car free or car light could look like. But we are a membership model that allows us to include gas in the reservations. It allows us to maintain the entire program. Also, if you travel to any of the 26 major metropolitan areas in which we operate, you can take a car there as well.
Okay, so, I just had a question.
And if you don't,
If you're a senior, yeah, I got it, thank you. Senior moment, quick senior moment. If you're a senior, but you're not an AARP member, is there a way of getting the discount without having to be an AARP member? Which is like, oh, not a senior, not an AARP member, how could you, but, or not, yeah.
Let me follow up the community board on whether we have a specific senior discount.
Please, and what kind of data is captured when someone becomes a member that that can be reported on, where the public can find out, which part of your information, what questions, just from usage, like is there ethnicity, age, gender, socioeconomics, any zip code?
Yeah, the data that we share with New York City as part of the program is mostly related to trip data, like not specific trips in the aggregate. Like if you're looking at the 3 sites in CB7, 12 months from now, I'd be able to report on how many trips were taken, what's the average duration, what's the average distance traveled, that sort of broad trip data. We do not share anything specific related to specific.
Oh, and not who the individual member was that.
Follow like extremely strict privacy protocols and protect PII.
Okay,
and we have some questions online too. Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm gonna move to, again, this is advisory, but I would like to actually move to a vote at that point, but Jeremy?
Pat Ruiz.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. But even before I saw the pictures, let me just point out a couple of things. 44th Street, residential block. When you look at the picture, there's no free space. Nothing but cars are parked. The residents are going to hurt. You need to find another location. The hospital, that's another bad location. I'm just wondering, did you guys really like take a walk and look to see whether there really are available spaces? Because what you're planning to do is take away 2 spots or maybe a little bit more, because I don't know how much space is required for you to have that area blocked off just for the zip cars, but that's not gonna be a good thing. And I personally, I don't think the community is gonna be receptive to it. I would consider going closer to the water. I know folks that have taken an Uber to go to another location to get a zip car. But please don't look at it. Don't take away spots that are so valuable to the people that already live here. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Jeremy, did you have any questions you wanted to ask?
No, John
No.
asked. Question I have.
Okay, great.
I have Antoinette Martinez next.
And I would just say, if for any of the follow-up and speakers, I think if you want to direct your question, then we can move to the vote. Go ahead, Antoinette.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to comment on the 273 44th Street location. The majority of uses on the left and right side of 44th Street are for manufacturing, with the whole right side and most of the left side saturated with no standing zones, blocked off for loading and unloading from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And the majority of the time, trucks stay parked overnight. City Bike has also taken the whole right corner. So that's the equivalent of about 3 to 4 parking spots. So now there's very little parking available. Now the very little parking that's available is what car share is really going after. And these parking spots are some of the only spots that residents and corner businesses have that they can consistently rely upon on 44th Street. I know in Bay Ridge, they actually have a car share space that utilizes a spot within their public library parking space. And I was just wondering, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just thinking out loud, but the building that you all are in right now, that's a city building. And I know that there's a parking lot in the back. Can one of those spots be utilized? Or I know the police department, they have a number of spots right outside of the building. Could it be considered to take one of those spots for this program?
Thank you. I think, Antoinette, your comment goes back to this idea of city-owned and operated land. So I think this is a good theme to follow up on.
And just one question, can undocumented folks utilize the car share program?
When you join, we use a third-party verification service that verifies your driver's license and driving record. So I think it would be on whether they have a driver's license.
Helpful. Great. Okay. No other comments. I'm going to propose. That's it. Okay. Thank you, Antoinette, for your questions. So this is what I would propose. And this is why it's so nice to come to a community board, right? Because we know our streets, we know what's on the blocks, and we know the different uses, kind of lived experience. So there were 3 sites that were proposed. 5501, which is 2nd Avenue. This is one adjacent to NYU. We heard about 273 44th Street. We just heard the last board member talk about the city bike location that's there that was in your photos and loading zones, but I just want to say we know that there's a city bike station there. And then this last one, 170 33rd Street, is above 4th Avenue. For all of these, you would propose 2 spots, and you heard different comments from board members about the location. So I would propose, again, advisory recommendation is that the resolution is that we strongly recommend that Zipcar and the city work to identify spaces that are city-owned and managed land. We've pointed out the locations in and around Brooklyn Army Terminal, and again, properties that are owned and managed by EDC. And then the second location that we've identified is under the Gowanus Expressway. And then within the resolution, so it includes that, we would not support the 5501 2nd Avenue, which is the NYU adjacent, the 273 44th Street, which is the block that is already being used for City Bike, but that we would support 170 33rd Street because we do want to try and incentivize these locations. And again, we're leading with talking about making sure we're utilizing city-owned operated land for these purposes. So is that resolution seconded? I know it's a mouthful. It's seconded by Jerry, and now it's open for discussion by board members. And if there's no discussion, I tried to capture everything everyone said. So not seeing any discussion. No hands are up. Okay, so that's a resolution, and then I would, okay, that's fine. Go for it. The next step in this is that we would bring this resolution, we would share it, or I don't even, sometimes I'm like, do we need to do a resolution or we just, anyway, but I'll leave it.
Yeah, I do have that question about process. Like, what is our, like, is this being done already, or is this kind of what is the, but that's an aside. I'm working out my thoughts on it in real time. This is going to make me unpopular, but I'm going to say it. I actually think taking spots away is a feature, not a bug. And I say that because I think the more similar to John's story, right? The less parking is available, the more we make other options available. I think the more this program succeeds. So while I get the sort of advantage to the community of having it be in city-owned land and kind of having it not be in these high traffic areas, I also think there's actual virtue in the spots picked, or at least some of them.
Do you have a friendly amendment to the proposal or no? No, you just leave it as. Okay.
Just leaving, kind of putting that opinion out there.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I guess to ask you directly, I mean, is this going through regardless? Like you're coming to us saying this is what's happening, or you're coming to us saying, what do you all think? We're still in decision-making mode?
You'd have to use the mic, sorry.
This is a consultative process, so I'll bring it back to our intergov. I'll let them know the community's, proposed amendment to the proposed car share sites.
Got it, yeah.
You guys will have a vote as well, and you'll probably issue a letter to us. We'll issue a letter back. Yeah.
That was perfect. Okay, so there's a resolution on the floor. And so I won't propose unanimous consent. And so we will do a roll call vote. So again, if you vote yes, you're voting in support of those, no on those two locations, yes on that 170 33rd, and making it really explicit that we're asking for spaces to be considered, because we do want to see locations, and we're encouraging under the Gowanus and Brooklyn Army Terminal and city-owned land. Yep, go for it, Jeremy.
Under our bylaws, our board members who are not members of the committee are able to vote on this issue if they have attended less than 50% of the meetings on this issue. And since this is the only time that we've met on this issue, they've been here more than 50% of the time. So Griselle Amador, Antoinette Martinez, and Pat Ruiz are also eligible to vote. So let's start with Katie Walsh.
Yes.
Thank you. John DeLuper.
Yes.
Thank you. I should say what your vote is. Katie Walsh, yes. John DeLuper, yes. Joan Body. George Cardona. Jerry Chan. Jerry Chan, yes. Jamie Freed. Jamie Freed, yes. Daniel Kaminsky. Think of it as the wording of her motion. You're voting on the wording of her motion. Daniel Kaminsky, no. Roberto A. Martinez. Roberto A. Martinez, yes. Gabino Morales. Maria Roca. Maria Roca, yes. Samuel Sierra. Samuel Sierra, yes. Faye Walker. Griselle Amador. Antoinette Martinez.
Yes.
Antoinette Martinez, yes. Patricia Ruiz.
Yes.
Patricia Ruiz, yes. 9 in favor, 1 opposed, motion carries.
Okay, well, thank you for upskilling us on car share and going through that, and we will follow up. Thank you. This is why there's snacks, so please eat and please drink water. We're going to go to our next agenda item, and thank you for community members for staying. Thank you. We have a presentation on the design for McDonald Avenue, 20th Street to Fort Hamilton Parkway. And then 2 quick other updates that won't require any votes. Just as a heads up, the last 2 are just updates from DDC on the Greenway, 3rd Avenue, and the 4th Avenue project. Okay.
Hi, I'm Paul, sorry.
Hi, Paul. Thank you.
I'm tall, sorry.
Gentlemen, please take it outside.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Kennedy. I'm a project manager in the bike unit at DOT, and I'm here to present to you our proposal for a 2-way protected bike lane on McDonald Avenue. Okay, so first, just a bit of citywide cycling in numbers. Particularly in the last 5 years, the amount of people riding bikes in New York City has increased significantly. There are now about 620,000 average daily trips in the city. And one of my favorite stats that's actually not on this slide is that when we did the Brooklyn Bridge bike path project back in 2021, I think in the 3 years since that project was done, bike volumes on the bridge increased by 150%. So lots of people are riding. It's a citywide thing, and we think that's great. It's great for everyone. It's great for transportation.
Technology.
Okay, great. So how do we getting all these people to be out there riding bikes? Well, it's by building protected bike lanes. And protected bike lanes, this slide showing you sort of a risk analysis of the different type of bike lanes that we build in the city. And protected bike lanes are our most effective safety treatment when it comes to mitigating risk for people riding bikes, and actually also for people walking and people driving. We find that crashes are reduced, injuries are reduced on streets where we do work such as protected bike lanes. So today we're talking about McDonald Avenue between 10th Avenue and 20th Street. It's a Y-shaped intersection there, down to Fort Hamilton Parkway. So it's the section of McDonald along Greenwood Cemetery. And so 20th Street is a two-way protected bike lane behind Jersey barriers, and Fort Hamilton Parkway to the south is a parking protected bike lane that leads over to Prospect Park. And I also wanted to just talk about the sort of the borough-wide connections that are made by protected bike lanes as we build out our protected bike lane network in Brooklyn. You can see the green lines on the map here. We have the 4th Avenue bike lane right outside, then the 20th Street, 20th and 21st Street, and then Fort Hamilton Parkway that would be that's close to where we're proposing on McDonald Avenue. But from there, you can get to places like Prospect Park, Eastern Parkway, Ocean Parkway, things like that. So it's like we're building out a network now where you can actually get places and do things. You can use it for work, you can use it for recreation, things like that. Oh, actually, sorry, forgot to mention. Also, just because this might come up for Prospect Park Southwest, that is a thing that has been asked of us to look at a protected bike lane on Prospect Park Southwest. It is something that we are currently analyzing, currently looking at. We're in the traffic modeling phase of looking at that street right now. But we're not at the point where we would make a proposal one way or another. And we think that something like that, something on Prospect Park Southwest and something on McDonald Avenue, it's on a one or another question. It's more of a they serve separate audiences, they serve separate users, and we think that there were these future proposal and current proposal we'd want them to be thought of individually and just as separate things. But like we're proposing this, but we're also looking at Prospect Park Southwest, but we are just currently in the sort of data analysis phase for looking at that. Okay, existing condition. All right, so McDonald Avenue along Greenwood Cemetery, it's a 60-foot wide 2-lane road. It's a two-way road. There's 2 lanes in each direction. There are connections to and from the Prospect Expressway. I'm going to get more into those later on. And also Greenwood Cemetery, as I said before, is on the west side of the street. You can see it in the cross section shown by that fence there. And this roadway, even during peak time, there is available capacity on this roadway. There are a lot of instances where I actually took that photo on the left there during the PM peak. So there, though it is busy, like there are a lot of vehicles on McDonald. It's also under capacity for the size of the roadway that it is. And with the way that the vehicles use McDonald Avenue, you get regular instances of speeding, and that typically leads to people who are on McDonald Avenue on bikes. They'll be typically on the sidewalk over on the cemetery side. I mean, people will be in the roadway, but more often than not, you also see people on that sidewalk. It's about 6 feet wide total. It's quite narrow. So it's not really a thing we try to encourage, and which moves us to our proposal. So our proposal is to install a two-way parking protected bike lane along the cemetery side of McDonald Avenue. Existing vehicles would, instead of having 2 lanes in each direction, would have 1 lane in each direction with a center lane for turn lanes at the intersections. And this would connect the 20th Street protected bike lane and the Fort Hamilton protected bike lane together, which then gets you either to 4th Avenue or over to Prospect Park, depending on which way you're going. And this proposal would remove approximately 6 parking spaces in total along that corridor. So this is just a cross-section showing, it's kind of hard to see up there, but showing them both together. And it's, yeah, the 2 travel lanes in the bottom with the center turn lane and the protected bike lane along the western side. Okay, so now we're moving to our making it work slide, because as I said before, McDonald Avenue is a rather busy street, especially during peak time. So I just want to talk through how we think we can make this work. So the traffic volumes on McDonald are, it's about 7:50 a.m. is the peak in the northbound, about 6:50 or so the PM peak in the southbound. Those are the typical volumes that you'd see during peak time on a 1-lane street. So if you were to look at like other 2-way streets that are 1 lane in each direction, during peak time, if they were busy, you'd see about that many vehicles on those streets. Another thing we have on McDonald Avenue is varying signal cycle lengths. There are 60-second signal cycles, 90-second signal cycles, and 120-second signal cycles, all present in this 5-block stretch of McDonald Avenue. And so when there are differing cycle lengths, what you end up having is sometimes you have a lot of cars that are approaching an intersection, and sometimes you have very few, sometimes none at all. It just depends on like how coordinated they are, because if one intersection is getting a green every 90 seconds, and one intersection is getting a green every 60 seconds, you're going to have sometimes during that peak hour when there's just no vehicles at the intersection at all. And that's what happens on McDonald. It's either very busy or it's somehow just empty during the middle of rush hour. So coordination of those signal cycle lengths would allow the same amount of vehicles that are currently on McDonald Avenue now with 2 lanes to work in 1 lane during peak times. Something else that we have on McDonald is buses. There are bus routes on McDonald Avenue and bus stops. And to make a protected bike lane work with bus stops, what we propose is to extend out those bus stops, extend the curb out, and just have the bikes just ramp up behind the people who are waiting, getting on or off the bus. We actually have one of these. It's actually up at the top end of McDonald already. It was built as part of the 20th Street or 20th and 21st Street protected bike lane a few years ago. When we had to relocate the bus stop from, I think it was on 10th Avenue. So that would be our bus stop treatment. Also, I do want to note, and this is something that we determined during the development of the project, but it probably would have happened anyway with the Brooklyn bus redesign. There's an existing bus stop at Terrace Place, and it does not have and Terrace Place does not have a crossing on McDonald Avenue. There's no signal, there's no sign, there's no crosswalk. So the northbound bus stop is fine. That's on the side where everyone lives. The southbound bus stop, because there is no crossing there, and the closest places to cross the street, either up at 20th Street or down at, I think it's Vanderbilt, both of those already have bus stops. So we would be removing the southbound bus stop for Terrace Place, though keeping the northbound. But that's just because there is no safe way to cross the street there. We we did a warrant study, or we commissioned a warrant study to try to get a crossing there. It was recently denied. We are going to try again as soon as we are allowed to. We will continue trying to get a crossing, at which point we can look at getting a southbound stop there again. But if we are doing a safety project, which protected bike lane is on the roadway, and there is a bus stop where there's no way to cross the street, that is not something that we want to do. Okay, now looking at sort of a more detailed view of the sort of the top and the bottom intersections of McDonald Avenue. This is where people are either basically going to the Prospect Expressway or coming off the Prospect Expressway. In this case, the 10th Avenue and 20th Street intersection with McDonald. This is where people are coming off the Prospect on 10th Avenue and heading south. And at this intersection, the proposal would be we would retain 2 receiving lanes on the southbound leg of that, the McDonald leg of that intersection. So it would allow all the vehicles that are coming off the Prospect to get through that intersection as they do now. And then they would just merge into 1 lane. So that would maintain the capacity of the intersection, and then like through the intersection, and then people would merge later on. Also, currently, because of that bus stop that's there, the buses actually stop in lane now. So there are 2 lanes that are coming off of 10th Avenue going to McDonald, and the bus stop requires the buses to stop in the lane. In our proposal, because we're moving everything over, we're actually able to give the bus an actual stop, which will reduce the amount of times the bus interferes basically with vehicles that are going through that intersection, making them go around once they have the green light. So that is we consider that helpful for people who are going through the intersection because they won't have to deal with the bus in their way. Next slide. And then at the bottom of our proposed area, this is the intersection with Fort Hamilton Parkway. Here, just because this is a very complex intersection, there's, we have Caton Avenue, we have Fort Hamilton Parkway, we have McDonald all together. With this, we're going to maintain the existing lanes that are out there. So it's 2 northbound, 2 southbound on McDonald, approaching the Fort Hamilton intersection. And for that, we just need to make sure that anyone who's coming down McDonald Avenue is able to, like driving, we need to make sure that people get through this intersection as they currently are. There's like the busy sections at the north and the south are where we want to try to keep things as similar as possible. But because of that, this is where we do, because we are maintaining 4 travel lanes here instead of 3. This is where we would remove about 7 spaces on McDonald Avenue approaching Fort Hamilton Parkway. This is where we have a right turn lane, so we just need to make sure we have enough storage for all the vehicles that be queuing, waiting to make a right turn on Fort Hamilton Parkway there. So we are able, though, to on the Fort Hamilton side. There's one of the benefits of looking at something where you've made recent changes is that you can make updates, and we have a right turn lane on Fort Hamilton to McDonald, so to go northbound, and we realized that one's longer than we need, so we're able to give 1 space back. So the grand total is 6 parking spaces we would need to remove to make this proposal work. So in summary, the protected bike lane on McDonald Avenue links the existing protected bike lanes on 20th Street and Fort Hamilton Parkway and improves north and south connectivity in the neighborhood. It takes advantage of what we call an edge condition along the side of Greenwood Cemetery, which minimizes interactions with vehicles, creates dedicated roadway space for cyclists, and maintains vehicular capacity while improving both the cyclist and the pedestrian experience. For pedestrians, it just gets the bikes that are on the sidewalk off the sidewalk. And then redesigning the roadway reduces opportunities for speeding, especially during off-peak and overnight hours.
Thank you. So let me start out by just saying a few things. This is a lot to take in, could be also the hour, but it's a lot to take in, and it's the first that our community is hearing, learning about the process. We've had all types of experiences working with DOT. Sometimes we find out about stuff after, sometimes we get engaged in the beginning. We're still waiting on the Third Avenue Street Improvement Plan, which has been delayed for more than 2 years. The opening prelude is just to say that we want to use this time to ask questions and gather information. I'm not going to propose that we take a vote on this tonight because there's too much coming in from the chat from neighbors. And we need to give people time who are just hearing about this proposal to be able to send their comments in. So I just want to say to the board members that are here, we don't have to we're not like taking positions on this, just like really use your time just to ask clarifying questions. It's not about, okay, anyway, so, but broadly speaking, not about the site, being a person who walks on streets, being a person who sees cyclists, is a cyclist, it's the most dangerous thing is when you are if you are a pedestrian, or if you're driving a car, or if you're a cyclist, and there is a protected bike lane, and then all of a sudden it just ends. That is super chaotic for everybody. It's really hard for a pedestrian. It's really hard for a car driver who all of a sudden has people coming at them, and it's really dangerous for a cyclist. So, in some of the presentation, of course, I have questions around safety and, things that have happened there, but I was like looking at my phone to try and see it. It just ends. So there is a protected bike lane and it just ends, right? And so really what this presentation is connectivity. So it's like completing and connectivity for something that some hardened infrastructure that's already there. And that's not just about being a cyclist. That's the most important thing with traffic and road safety is everyone needs to know where they need to go and what their lanes are. And that's like key to this. So, questions that people want to ask as board members to DOT. And then again, we're going to give everyone a chance to digest the presentation, and we still have 2 more agenda items after this. So questions, we'll go to Jerry.
So maybe 3 years ago, right? The reason I joined the community board because the whole DOT putting a bike lane in 7th Avenue. So my question is, have DOT spoken to the residents about the changes, taking parking space away from them, make the street a little smaller? Have you guys done that yet?
Not specifically, no, but this is the beginning of the process. So that's definitely something we can do.
Okay, that's one.
Jamie? And then I'll skip you guys. I'll go back to John and then Jeremy.
Yeah, this looks amazing. It's a long overdue upgrade. And we had an event recently with our city council person where people were brainstorming Windsor Terrace infrastructure upgrades, and this was like the first thing on everyone's mind. It seems like a very popular proposal. I'm wondering, are there plans to continue it such that it circumnavigates Greenwood Cemetery onto Fort Hamilton and 37th Street? Because as of now, it's actually quite hard to get from Sunset Park to Windsor Terrace via bike. And I think that would be a critical component of an integrated bike network.
Not currently past this. Not knowing like the specifics of any other proposals that we have or the specifics of those roadways, which at least I have not studied them. I would assume that at least some of that might require a capital solution, just because of the nature of some of these places, which is just a little on a longer timeline. But connecting surrounding green spaces, connecting green spaces is always a thing that we're looking at opportunities for. It's just that we need to be able to make sure that everyone who's already using that space can get to where they're going and do what they're doing.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to John and then Jeremy.
So my question for you was, when you talked about the bus stop as being like the design on Shore Road, in that picture, it looks like right in the area people walk, that the bikes go onto there.
Yeah. It's going to be different than that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the best picture that I could find of those buzz islands. But it would be more angled And I mean, I've ridden up onto the one that exists at the top of McDonald Avenue, and it kind of just, you just naturally want to get over probably about 8 feet off of the edge of that curb there. The space that we'd have on the sidewalk there is approximately, I think it's 20 or 21 feet, one of those two. And that's plenty of room for cyclists to deflect over. Also, it's kind of hard to see in the cross section up on the screen, but we do have stamps, bike stamps that would be like just sort of like routing people around. So those would be things we install in the concrete. But yeah, it would be at an angled ramp, similar to what's the one. There's one that's already there.
I would say that it's better to have designs like, say, the one on 58th and 2nd, where, you know, there's space between the island and the pedestrians, but also that kind of thing does need protection because actually on 58th and 2nd Avenue, sometimes the buses come in the bike lane because they don't want to block the traffic that's going by on the other thing. So that dividing is important. I also want to ask about the trucks that park on McDonald Avenue. Does the hardening you have do anything to stop that situation?
I mean, it's the semi trucks, things like that that are parked on that. The thing that would stop that is like metering. That's what stops that. That's not necessarily something we're looking at as part of this proposal. But if I mean, it's typically it's more of an enforcement issue. But like the thing that really, if someone has to pay by the hour to be there, that's the thing that really stops it. But once again, that's something that doesn't really work for residents of a neighborhood that are used to like a regular alternate side parking. So, but I mean, like we are aware that is an issue. It's not a thing we're fans of, but this would, I mean, they would be off the curb, but probably more of an enforcement issue than anything else.
Last thing was you talked about how there's like feeder networks to the bike lane. I want to see if you had any updates on the bike lane I know it's not just a bike lane, but there's bikes at 21st Street and 6th Avenue, which, you know, on your map, you show as feeding into this. I know that we were, just like Katie mentioned with 3rd Avenue, I know that's another area we were waiting for an update. And do you know if there's any updates on that yet, or?
I know that our Borough Commissioner's Office should, if they haven't already, should be reaching out to you with an update on that very soon. So just if you want to ping them, they'll probably send it to you. But yeah, that's something that there is a proposal for that, but they'll have all the information on that.
Thank you.
Jeremy?
Thank you. Before I speak to you, is that Matthew Florkowitz? Thank you. I'm sorry. I don't know my new board members' faces, and then it hit me. I didn't call your name for a vote. I'm very sorry about that. Please speak up next time if I do that. So I'm assuming this is going to mostly be done in paint, at least to start?
Yeah, mostly paint, with the exception of the bus boarding islands, which would be in concrete.
Amazing to me that DOT does not realize that paint does not stop cars from driving or people from parking. Just look at 4th Avenue. But speaking of 4th Avenue, it's been 7 years and our bike lanes have not been finished yet. And that's why we have that illegal parking problem. And it's going to be several more years before our protected bike lanes are finished and protecting this community as they should. I would venture to say the situation's made more dangerous by that paint right now because people are parking illegally and it's not being enforced. Why does it take so long to build protected bike lanes in this community? And can you tell us of any community, say in Manhattan, that has waited over 7 years to get their protected bike lanes completed from the beginning of the project?
You're asking me if there are other communities that have had to, like for 4th Avenue?
Beginning of the 4th Avenue bike lanes were installed starting in 2018. The project has not been completed yet. It won't be completed for several more years. Who else has had to wait that long for the completion of protected bike lanes?
I can't say offhand, like if there are other neighborhoods that have had to wait that long, but in terms of the completion of 4th Avenue, that is, I mean, it's something that we are working towards, and trying to.
Next on
do
the
as quickly
agenda.
as we can.
Yeah, that's a next agenda item as DDC is presenting, so.
I'm just a district manager, but I think that's absolutely unacceptable that we wait so long for all of these DOT projects in this community. And I think we wait longer in this community than just about anybody else.
Thanks, Jeremy. And I know you were monitoring questions. Were there any board members who had questions? Okay. Okay. Okay, well, I'm trying to figure out what the best way is to do this since we have 2 more presentations, because we can print them out and share them with DOT. Okay, why don't we do that? I want to just emphasize to anyone who joined online and providing public comment and asking questions that we will capture these. They will be included as part of our minutes from the meeting that we share next week, and we will share the responses back. We also, and then the other thing is if you have any additional comments to please send them to BK07 at CB.
I'll put it in the chat, bk07@cb.nyc.gov.
Thank you. Okay, from a board member to, okay, I think what I'm gonna do is move ahead and just really emphasize that this is the first time the DOT is coming. We will put this on and this is a heads up to the Community Board 7 transportation members. Because of the backlog of agenda items and because we're honoring the summertime not having any committee meetings, our next committee meeting will be on June 25th, Wednesday, June 25th. And so we'll put this back, I'll put this agenda item there so that we can capture some of the discussion items. And so anyone who sends comments will capture it then. So thank you very much for the presentation, and we look forward to engaging on you more on the street safety, so.
As do I. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so if anyone needs to stretch in the room, please do. We have our last 2 items, which is a update specifically from design and construction on the Brooklyn Greenway plan for 3rd Avenue, which if you've been on 3rd Avenue, you probably have seen it. Under construction, and similarly the 4th Avenue median project. And I think they have joined us virtually. So pass it over to them. I believe DDC joined virtually.
Jeremy, do you want me to start?
Yes, thank you so much. If you could introduce yourself and then over to you.
Okay. So my name is Judith and I'm the CCL for the 4th Avenue Median Project.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Do we have someone, are you also speaking about the 3rd Avenue Greenway?
No, somewhat. So that's the reason why I asked. 3rd Avenue.
Okay, so we'll just, I'm so apologize. We'll just go in order. We have the Brooklyn Greenway plan for 3rd Avenue is the next agenda item. Apologize so much. And thank you for bearing with us at the hour that we're at.
So we have Maria Centeno. Maria, you can unmute yourself. Perhaps she's away from her computer.
Okay, so we'll switch agenda items. We'll go back to 4th Avenue median.
Back to you, Judith.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm the community
Thank you.
Should I go ahead? Should I go ahead or we're waiting for Maria?
You can get started. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm the community liaison for the 4th Avenue project. My name is Judith Ogo. The project ID is HWK1669A. The contractor continues to be JR Cruz. At the moment, we have a completion date as spring of 2026. This project starts between 8th Street and 64th Street. That's through the Gowanus, Park Slope, Greenwich Heights, and then Sunset Park area. Works done so far between 64th to 37th Street. We have installed planters as well as plants with a section of 39th Street and then 40th Street. Between 58th and 60th Street, we have also installed the planters. We're waiting for the signal work for MTA antenna placement, and then we'll be done with that location. At the intersection of 40th Street, we are also waiting on National Grill to do work over there. So that's what is left. Then between 58 and 59, 47 to 45, we are also going to wait on MTA, and then we have to do the fire standpipes in the median. And once that is done, then the road will be back. And then areas that we are not yet to done. Sorry, between 30th and 33rd Street also, we are also yet to complete everything. That's the reason why you see that we have the median is still, under construction, because we still have signal work to be done, as well as grading and then planting. Once we're done with planting, the road will be back. And then currently we are working between 24th and 27th, and then 20th to Prospect Street, Prospect Avenue. Areas that we haven't started work at all are between 36 and 37, 27 to 30th, and then 20th to 24th Street. That is the update for this project. If there's any question, then I will take it. But I continue to be the CCL for the project. The community will continue to receive any updates on the project, as well as advisories and newsletters, and also the weekly bulletin that I send out every week.
Thank you, Judith. And I'm on that weekly bulletin, and I know that it's also, we share it broadly with our Community Board 7, what is it called? The newsletter that we send out. The ticker is included as well. There are a bunch of questions that we have. And so just to confirm, it's going to be finished in 2026, spring of 2026.
As of now, yes.
As of now. So just to confirm, that's already behind schedule, right? It was already supposed to have been completed?
Yes.
Can you say why it's been delayed?
Because initially we had the issues with the oil static lines. We had that, as well as if you 36 and 37, there was also a design issue, which has already just been resolved. So all those ones, take time, and that also is what put the projects behind schedule.
Yeah, and Judith, I think we also had some MTA coordination issues, and we had very limited access, extremely limited access as to when the contractor could work. Because MTA, obviously their priority is their projects and running the trains. So that was another glitch. There were a lot of accumulative issues, for sure.
Can I just ask who spoke? Because I don't think we captured who that was.
That was Maria Centeno.
Oh, Maria. Okay, great.
I'm sorry, Maria Centeno.
Yes, thank you. Just came in a little funny. Okay, so I'll pass to John, and then if there's any questions from community board members.
Couple follow-ups. Judith, you mentioned about the plantings. So am I taking that we're not done with all the tree plantings? Is that right?
Yes, we are not done.
Okay. And then the next thing is, I know you talked about some areas that are finished and some are not. I've seen some areas where there's new traffic signals, but they're covered in like tarp. Do you know, is that when those are going to become live, or what is that waiting on? I'll name one specifically, 60th Street at 4th Avenue.
60th Street.
Yeah, there's like tarps over the new walk, don't walk signals. And there's also like on the tactile stuff on the ground is still covered in plastic.
Yeah, so as soon as we're done with everything, we would go back and then do the final restoration work.
And then speaking of final restoration, is repainting the lane from black to green part of that too? Because I know some parts are still black, some parts are kind of like a mix of black and green, but I know because you moved the lane around during earlier phases. I want to make sure that everything is coming back with that.
Yes, yes.
And then last is I know that there's also some like potholes in the lane. Is that part of your responsibility or is that another group?
Potholes in the lane.
In the bike lane. Where you know how everything was moved around, there's like now like potholes in some of the areas where like cars traveled on it, you know, when it was.
So if we're gonna do the final restoration before we hand over, and then usually what we do a walkthrough as well. So once the project, before we hand it over, there's gonna be a walkthrough. So all those areas that you're talking, I'm not sure which location exactly, but every other defect will be restored before the project is handed over.
Could you invite someone from Community Board 7 to do the walkthrough with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any board members in the room that have any questions? Sure, sorry. And then if there's any questions from board members online, we'll do that.
One thing that comes up a lot in both riding on the 4th Avenue bike lane and in this board is the conflict between cyclists and schools. And I think a lot of people have hoped that there could be some sort of cross traffic to allow for like school bus unloading zones with the bike lane going around it. Is there any plan to mitigate the conflicts that are occurring at the married schools on 4th?
The question to me?
Do you want us to repeat the question?
Can you still hear us? Is our audio going through?
Okay, yes, I can hear you. Can you repeat this question again?
So there are several schools along 4th Avenue, and they have come to Community Board 7 to talk about the conflict that happens with the schools, the students, the parents, and then what ends up happening is very fast bikes or very fast scooters or motors basically using the lane, and then, you know, almost like young people almost getting hit. And so the question is that your responsibility to think about the safety of that for this 4th Avenue project? Or do we raise this back to DOT?
I mean, I'm going to answer from my end, okay? Because when we are working in any location that has a school, first of all, we don't even start work because I always go to before we start any location, I go to the principal, I introduce myself, I let them know that we're going to start work there. And I also assure them that I always find out what's their drop-off time and pick-off time. So we don't start work before drop-off. So usually we start work within a school district or a school location after 8:30. By 2 o'clock, before the dismissal, 2 o'clock, the contractor is out of the location. And then when we are working too, we have flaggers that are also helping within that. So if somebody is doing, like, let's say a cyclist is speeding and we are within the location working, of course, we can alert them that they should slow down. But there's some certain things that are not within my, I don't know if Maria can answer that.
Oh, I think we need to bring that question to DOT. DDC is our construction agency. We had a DOT rep here in our on Zoom who no longer appears to be here.
Okay. Any other questions that are from, transportation members? And then we'll get an update on the 3rd Avenue project.
Hello. My question is to the plantings. I've noticed that some of the plantings on the median are already suffering. Who is going to be responsible for the maintenance of the plantings in the median? Does anyone know? That question is for anyone.
Yeah, I'll take the question. When it comes to the planting, for as long as we are still working, the project has not been handed over to DOT, we are responsible. The contractor is responsible for the watering and all that. But once the project is over, it will be handed over to DOT, and then DOT maintenance will take over.
Okay, thank you.
Whoever that is, we can't hear you. So
The-
if that's Maria, sorry.
Never mind.
Emily, it sounds like you're swimming under the sea. So I hope that you're I don't know who that is. So we'll just go to our next
Not
question.
Emily, that
It's not
was Maria.
Emily. It's Maria. Okay, Maria is swimming under the sea. So we'll go final questions from any board members that are in the room.
So let me, not a board member, but let me just say I've been impressed, pleasantly surprised with the maintenance of the plants by the contractor. I thought that would be terrible. They do need to do it more often, though. They need to know which are the weeds. There's still weeds in there. But there is also a developing and continuing graffiti problem. I'm looking specifically at almost 100% coverage on 4th Avenue between 43rd and 44th Street. There are many other locations. Can you tell me how often the contractor is required to clean up the graffiti?
Within the graffiti, like Jeremy, I think you just said between the 40, we have done that. He did even do anti-graffiti on it, but I really have no idea what's going on within the community because we will clean it and then they go back again. We clean it and then they go back again. So I really don't know who in particular is doing that on the plants that asset that we have installed.
I'll just say this community is not unique in that way.
Very quickly about the graffiti. There's a rule that if you leave graffiti up for 24 hours, you're in trouble because then you have allowed someone an opportunity to exhibit their graffiti on that side. So it becomes an exhibition. So if whoever is in charge of who is responsible for the graffiti removal needs to move fast, and that has to happen within 24 hours, if not a shorter period of time. And it is a fact that once you do that, you're going to not erase it altogether, but you're going to see they're going to go somewhere else because what they want is an audience, and you're not giving them that opportunity.
And do we have any questions from board members? Okay. If not, then I'm going to go to, great. Okay. I'll go to the last agenda item, which thank you so much for giving us that update. We will follow up with DOT specifically on the safety related to the schools, since that was something that you weren't able to address during the meeting. Can I go to the next item? Brooklyn Greenway? Please. Yep.
Good afternoon. Oh, Rich, okay.
Thank you.
Yes, the the Sunset Park North section of the Brooklyn Greenway. I'm not sure if you're referring to the 2nd Avenue or the 3rd Avenue. Our project is the 2nd Avenue.
We wanted to get an update on the construction that we can see that's on 3rd Avenue that's happening right now related to the Brooklyn Greenway.
We're starting our project in approximately 3 weeks. We're on the section from 29th Street to 39th Street. So we haven't started yet, and I haven't presented anything to you guys yet. So I thought that's what I was here to give you a beginner's update on what we're about to do, which is the reconstruction.
So let me, I'll break it into 2 parts. Rich, who's the person from DDC that would have presented on the construction that's happening now?
That would be Maria Centeno. She would know who's the CCO for that project.
Is that Tara's project?
Tara's the CCL for that, but I believe
The one
Maria,
on-
we invited you for that tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's on me because I thought it was this new project, not Tara's project. We can certainly give you an update, but not necessarily right at this moment.
That's okay.
I'm
That's
sorry,
okay.
I
So
picked the wrong
yeah,
CCL, but we do have a presentation that he prepared. I mean, they're all interconnected to some degree, but I can certainly have Tara send you a presentation update on the project. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to send them to Tara and DDC, and we'll be more than happy to answer any additional questions. My apologies.
that's okay. We're actually having a really
I
hard time.
misunderstood.
Maria, we're having a really hard time hearing you.
Sorry,
So
Jeremy.
is there a way to? We're having a really hard time hearing you, Maria. So actually, it's I think with the connection is not good.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
No. So I'm just going to say, if you can hold off, we'll follow up with you about that part of the project. And let's just table that for the June 25th. Rich is on, and you said you're about to start construction. So as a courtesy to the fact that you're here, if you can take 5 minutes and give us that preview that you were talking about, we would still really appreciate that. Thank you.
Do you want me to share my computer with you, the PowerPoint or anything, or?
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, Rich.
Okay.
I can make you a co-host. We're hearing me through your computer.
Oh, I hear echo, yes.
You can share your screen now.
Share, okay. Share desktop. Let's see. 1 second. Okay, let's see if I can share.
Green button on the bottom of your screen.
Yes, share. Okay. Wait, am I on your computer or my computer? Oh.
We don't see you sharing your screen yet.
If it doesn't work tonight,
Here it is.
okay.
Oh, I'm sharing already. Is that correct?
You are.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. And we're here finish. This down. Okay. Forgive me.
We could see it.
Okay. Anyway, I'll just do it as this. Okay. I was trying to, oh, here we go. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so this is the reconstruction of Sunset Park North section of the Brooklyn Waterfront Greenway, which encompasses 29th Street to 39th Street. And the project ID is SAN 1048. And about the project, I'll show you the data, why the project is necessary, community benefits, the map, and basically construction overview. And of course, the usual, the impacts and mitigations, and also how to reach through outreach and notifications. You guys are pretty familiar with that. This is the fiscal year of this year, 2025, and the bottom line, the total construction cost is 20 million, a little under 20,044,000. And then it's a joint project, as you see, DOT, DP, and federal as well. And then once again, it's a 2-year construction duration. And why if I'm sure you all are all familiar with Second Avenue, with the trolley tracks, the cobblestones exposed, the potholes is just the parking is just a nightmare over there. As a result, we've been there for a week, and when I did canvassing of the neighborhood, everyone was already telling me this is a great idea. We're glad that it's being started, but everyone was telling me how the trolley tracks were tearing their tires up and ripping their cars up and everything. So they were really applauding that. So this is something that is really needed. And it also, this project is just gonna, it's gonna create enhanced recreation, transportation, and also just give an improved waterfront access, and also as everything is going forward, sustainable development. As if you walk along Second Avenue on the parking side of Industry City, you'll see that the sidewalks aren't continuous. You have to go outside, go around. It's just not. So what we're gonna do, this is a two-phase project. So the project that you're talking about on Third Avenue is going to end at 29th Street. And we take over 29th Street, Second Avenue to Third Avenue along the prison. And the federal owns half of the street and the city owns the other half. So we have actually an embargo on that section right now for 1 year. We can't touch that area until 2026 of May, I do believe it is, or April of next year. So what we're going to do, we're going to start on the other end, 39th Street, right at Costco, and work our way back down to 29th Street. And this is the map of the affected area. And the scope of the work, reconstruction of the roadway, the curb and sidewalk works, ped ramps, of course, pedestrian and bicycle shared ramps. So that's going to be nice. So when they end at 29th Street, and you make the right turn going towards Second Avenue, there will be a 2-lane bike lane, which is awesome. The time that I've been there, I've seen cyclists riding along the cobbles already, and so what that's going to do is create a nice two-way bike lane going down, and you make the left on Second Avenue. So from Second Avenue, from 29th all the way down to 39th, there will be bicycle shared ramps, two-way bike lanes. And of course, since we're digging up the entire streets, we're going to improve the catch basins, and the street signs and traffic lightings will be replaced. And also the pavement markings as well, like the new the new bike pavement paintings on the concrete. We're going to do that as well. And also, because the trolley tracks are there, we're going to preserve the trolley track preservation. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove the trolley tracks that are there, and we're going to replace them with additional trolley tracks. So we're going to keep the trolley tracks along there. So that's not going to go away. So that's kind of cool. And then of course we're going to replace the sewers, and we're just going to replace the water mains and everything else within the project limit. This is just the basic, how it's going to look when you dig it up. You're going to see just the replacement of the sewer water mains that need to be replaced. As you see, once again, you can see the potholes, you can see the railways. It's not a continuous flow. So this is the area where at the prison on 29th Street, facing Second Avenue. So you can see right where the cars are on the right-hand side, that will be the bike lane behind it. And we're bumping out the sidewalk, and they will still be able to have their parking on both sides. So that's also a thoroughfare for the sanitation trucks that go straight back as well. We're also working with Equinor as well. So, we're combining ourselves together to make sure that we're not overlapping, or we're not, a hindrance to any of the projects that they're doing as well with the windmills. And this, once again, is just, we have a temporary work construction, the start date is May 1st, 2026, which was obtained, so we can't do anything until then. And this is looking west. So if you see the 30 feet, that's the federal side that they own. So we have to work with them as well on that too. So that's why we're doing that last. So they are still working that out, how they're going to do it. At first, they wanted to make the street one way, and I really didn't, not me, but the city didn't think that was possible, that it should be one way, because it has to be a two-way because traffic, and Industry City doesn't want the diverted sanitation trucks coming down, the other streets like 31st or coming down those streets. And this is the usual community impacts and mitigations. You're working with the to keep storage safe and everything that the contractors know, traffic patterns, all of the signage and everything. Once again, the water shuts down. Just 72 hours, 24 hours, cancellations, everything. Nothing will go forth without you guys being updated at all. And so, yeah, this is basically it. And my contact is on here as well, which I will send forward with emails and everything as well going forward. We're still setting up in the office. Our office is in Industry City. We're in building 2, room B332. We've been there approximately a week right now, and we're still getting everything together. So you guys will definitely be invited. We haven't had yet the pre-con meeting, so you definitely will be invited to that before we do anything as well. And once again, you'll get the newsletters, the community outreach, everything. I am the first point of the contact on here, and this is the usual advisory notices that we give out. And yeah, and short, because I know your time is limited. So yeah, that's the Q&A.
That was
for you.
excellent. That was excellent, and we really appreciate you hanging on and giving such a upbeat, energetic presentation. I want to just say that this is long awaited and long overdue, so we want to see the connectivity of Third Avenue built and see this piece get built. Can you just confirm when you're starting on the 39th Street side?
I will. We're going to have the construction meeting, the pre-construction meeting. You'll definitely be invited to that as well. So you'll definitely be updated, and I will also update you as well. But I'm thinking we're going to start. I don't like to, do a guess because I'm the CCO. I'm sure we'll be starting in July, most likely.
July of 25.
Correct. Yes. Mhm.
Okay, and then you can't get down to 29th Street until May of 2026 because of the issues you talked about. Last question was just, you mentioned there's still this discussion and consideration of like a one-way or a two-way. Could you just clarify, was that for 29th Street or were you talking about the whole Second Avenue corridor?
I was just for 29th Street.
Okay, thank you. That's super helpful. Any other questions from board members? John, and then anyone else?
So thank you for the informative presentation. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned you were preserving the trolley tracks. I thought that part of the plan was to remove them because not only the damage to the cars, like you said, but we also had a neighbor who like died from hitting trolley tracks on 39th Street. So like, to me personally, we're not having new trolleys there unless this is needed by the MTA as part of their operations where they bring the trains in, like the one on 39th. Yeah, they bring it down from the South Brooklyn Marine or 65th. But I know that like even on Second Avenue, right, that building with the turn got like the tracks removed. So I would think that we would want to remove them everywhere that it's possible for safety reasons. Am I understanding that incorrectly?
Yes, you are. They are going to preserve the trolley tracks. What they're going to do is they're going to flush it. They're going to be flush with the street, so there won't be any trip hazards or road hazards with that as well. So they've definitely taken that into consideration.
You know why they're leaving them in?
I don't know. I thought the community wanted to keep them, or I'm not sure why they wanted to keep them in. Yeah. I think also they did, like if you go in Dumbo, you'll see that as well. So I don't know if that's a city thing or why they are keeping them. I do not know.
Okay, thank you. And then any other questions from board members?
I do want to follow up on this trolley track issue. They're like, they're the exact width of a bike tire. And when it rains, they get so slick that like I've almost eaten it on those tracks many times on a city bike. And if those were paved over or taken out, I think a lot of people would feel safer using that bit of road.
Yeah, again, apparently they've done some sort of research and maybe I don't know why they're like they're going to be non-skid, which I can't imagine it being that, but that is a great question. And I will bring that up as well. Yes. Because I'm also an avid cyclist. Sorry about that. Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say, any other questions from board members? Yeah.
Thank you. On the tracks, there is increased interest and conversation to returning this, to enhancing the Blue Highway, I believe it is, so that our waterways go back to providing the influx of materials and the import and export to say, and get rid of truck traffic in the city. Because, and everyone knows what that is. I'm assuming everyone understands that you bring it in by sea and then distribute it from closer to where the material is going. You get rid of thousands of truck trips. So that might be the reason they're keeping, because those tracks are there when this city depended on maritime traffic, and then the distribution from there to inland. And so that's what I know about it.
Yeah, we can follow up. Okay, well, thank you so much. Jeremy, did you want to have a final word?
I'm flabbergasted, and Rich, I know you're not the decision-making capacity on this one, but we have been asking for those trolley tracks to be removed for more than 25 years.
Jeremy, we'll look into it. We'll look into it. I think we might have had to go to PDC. And if they had required us to keep them, I think for some neighborhoods that are landmarked, definitely, we have to keep some of the original characteristics of the community. Trolley tracks are one of them.
So
In this particular instance, it's not landmarked, so I'm not sure
Yeah.
why either. But we'll definitely get back to you on that. And as Richard said, all of the safety concerns that have been raised here tonight about the trolley tracks.
And this is the first we are hearing about preserving them. We had thought that they were being removed, and we celebrated that. And I have no doubt it's going to be in pristine condition when you complete it, except that this is a well-known flooding area. If you look at them now, you see all the erosion around them, and New York
Yeah.
City isn't great about doing maintenance work on its streets.
So I think that's a great follow-up action. I think if anything from this presentation, that if you guys could get back to us on that. Thank you so much for joining and staying so late, Maria and Rich and Judith, of course, and then our board members and those who tuned in. Thank you. See you on the 25th, or see you next week.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. So just to say, I think it's like